So, Highguard. Now there's a game born under an unlucky star. If you don't know, Highguard was announced at the Game Awards last year, and it was the last game of the evening. It was the final trailer that was shown. It got a personal intro from Jeff Keighley himself. It was the last big hurrah, the thing that was going to send the Game Awards off with a bang, and then the trailer came on, and what we got was a not very impressive-looking free-to-play hero shooter of a kind that there's already kind of plenty of those in the market. Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, Marvel Rivals is dominating currently. A kind of shooter that there's already kind of a lot of them, and it's a free-to-play one, and it's from some studio that no one has ever heard of. And it was, to put it plainly, not particularly aesthetically impressive. Like, the trailer didn't really blow anyone away. In fact, the trailer looked kind of low budget in a lot of ways. It wasn't pre-rendered, it wasn't a cinematic, it didn't really look like the kind of sort of high production quality nonsense that you're used to in that final slot at the Game Awards. It was basically really kind of, from a perspective of the Game Awards as an entertainment product, as the finale of the evening, it was a very unimpressive final showing, and a lot of people just got kind of mad at Highguard for that. Now, as the story has come out since, what it's supposedly happened is that the Game Awards had someone lined up for that final slot of the evening. That company pulled out for whatever reason. Maybe they delayed their game because they heard something about GTA delaying their launch date or something. Who the fuck knows? But there was a slot open at the end of the evening, and Jeff Keighley, who has a little bit of a bee in his bonnet about wanting to be the guy who loves game developers, the guy who supports game developers, and especially indie game developers, was like, tell you what, I know some of the people who work on Highguard. I'll do them a solid, and I'll give them the final slot of the evening. I'll give that to a scrappy sort of like semi-indie game production kind of situation, and that'll be great. Like, that's me supporting game developers. Sort of, I guess, not really anticipating that when the reality of what Highguard is ran up against the level of expectation that the audience has from that kind of reveal at the end of the show, it did not leave a particularly good impression. Highguard is a game that, to be frank, if the trailer had been shown in the middle of the Game Awards, I don't think literally anybody would have very much remembered it or talked about it. So it was a bit of a monkey's paw curls situation, because on the one hand, Highguard did get a lot of eyeballs on their trailer, and a lot of people remembered the trailer, and a lot of people were talking about Highguard after the Game Awards was over, but they weren't talking about it very positively. Now, Highguard has actually launched, it's available to play, and according to reporting, it does have a very healthy player base, at least for the moment, but it also has like 17,000 negative reviews on Steam, most of which are not from people who have given this game a fair shot or are particularly interested in whether or not the game is good. Because Highguard became a little bit of a concord. That was basically sort of the thing that happened immediately after the Game Awards, is people started framing Highguard as another Concord, right? Because Concord itself was also a fucking hero shooter with a not very impressive aesthetic conceit that got a huge marketing push that the game sort of really didn't benefit very much from, because all it did was kind of reveal how derivative and uninteresting the game itself was, and this kind of seemed to fit the pattern, and so that was what the internet sort of gaming hot take machine set to work doing, framing Highguard very much as like, here comes another Concord, here comes another piece of mediocre garbage that's being pushed by someone for some reason or whatever. We have some kind of reason to be mad about it. We have some kind of reason to shit on it relentlessly for what it is. Which is like, that's the nature of these YouTube ecosystems a lot of the time. And I kind of feel bad for Highguard. Like, I don't think it looks that impressive. As you can probably tell from how I've been talking, I was not impressed with the trailer. I don't think it's especially interesting or fascinating, and honestly, it doesn't even really look bad enough to be interesting in the way that Concord was. But I do kind of feel bad for it, because I think the studio that made it is called Wildlight Studios, or something to that effect, and it's a studio that's made up mostly of former Respawn developers and like people from various places in the game. I think maybe there's some Call of Duty people in there. I haven't looked closely into it, and it is published by that same game studio as well. It is a self-published game. It is, by technical definition, an actual indie game. This isn't a $500 million massive failure produced by a massive AAA company like Sony, with a decade of fucking game development behind it, or however long they spent building the piece of shit that was Concord. This is a genuinely indie effort, as it were. Like, I don't know what the funding situation is for Wildlight Studios. I don't know where they got the money from to run a game studio with a bunch of very experienced developers for a very long time. They might have some funding in there that makes them, you know, maybe not quite as indie as something like, say, Deltarune or Silksong. But it is genuinely, like, this isn't a Concord. This isn't a piece of corporate AAA slop from Sony. It is, by all, as far as we can tell, a genuine independent game effort from a bunch of people who just weren't really comfortable or happy working in the AAA-ized games industry under, like, the auspices of EA over at Respawn Studios. And so it's a little bit sad that the game has launched to such a profoundly negative reception when what it probably deserved, based on what it looks like, is to launch and have sort of middling success and be a free-to-play game that a whole bunch of people think, oh yeah, this is cool, we play this with our friends instead of playing Apex Legends for whatever reason, and have a healthy little player base and sort of just be fine. But instead, because of what happened with the Game Awards, because of the way it was introduced to people, it sort of garnered this massive online hatedom, which I think is a big part of the reason why it has launched to, like, a pretty significant player base and why a lot of people know what this game even is in the first place. But also, there's this whole discourse swirling around it. So I feel bad for it a little bit, which is kind of why I want to make this video and take a look at the character design, because that's the thing I'm mostly competent to speak on. I can't speak to the gameplay mechanics of Highguard. I can't speak to the monetization scheme. Well, I'd probably look at it. I guess that's free for some reason. All right. Yeah, it looks pretty standard. I don't know how much any of these numbers translate to in terms of dollars, but it looks pretty standard for what the thing is. But we can talk about the character design. So if you remember Concord, right? Like, one of the things about Concord is that it had absolutely no unique aesthetic expression of its own. Like, zero. Like, it had no style. It had no sauce. It had no vibe. It had no aura. It had nothing. It looked as generic and boilerplate and weirdly smoothed down as it possibly could. Like, it really looked like, and I don't know if that was the case for what happened there, but it looked like a game where every single character design had been made by committee, right? Where every single character had been designed by committee, running through, like, too many cooks 5 million times over and over and over again. And whatever else, I don't think that's true of Highguard. Because of this guy, for one thing. But they do have something. If you remember my little video about Concord, we did have John Concord in there, right? Like, the guy who looked like the most guy-like guy, who's just like a dude, who's just kind of there, who was clearly supposed to be like the Call of Duty guy, essentially the equivalent in Concord terms of Soldier 76 in Overwatch, right? The guy who most plays like he's in a Call of Duty modern military shooter, for the most part, with the assault rifle and the thing. But in Concord, it was some dude in some weird gear who just looked like the most generic, normal, everyman mech guy dude that you've ever seen in your life. For Highguard, that role, aesthetically at least, kind of seems to be filled by Atticus here. A guy who looks like the most guy dude guy, whoever guyed a dude in a dude guy situation. There's really, looking at this character as a character design, right? What we can tell, there's not really much lore to go by here either, is that he's a lightning-wielding captain who uses a high-voltage arsenal to control the battlefield and wreak havoc upon the enemy. Okay, so lightning then. And we can kind of see that in his character design here and there, right? Like, we have these sort of lightning bolt designs on the chest, a little bit on the sigil there, sort of the gold filigree that's running down here, kind of, and then mostly we're sort of getting it from this thing on the back of his head, this eye sigil with the lightning bolt, was sort of like, okay, lightning, yeah, sure, a little bit on, like, the legs and stuff. But if they didn't tell me that this guy's supposed to be, like, electricity themed, this is the electricity hero who uses lightning powers to do his shit, I don't think I would really have been able to tell, because he's just kind of wearing a suit, right? Like, it's just kind of a boiler suit with a chest plate and some shoulder pauldrons for something. Like, there's something odd about the way that this guy wears armor, right? He has a shoulder piece, he has, like, the pauldrons, he has shin protectors for some reason, but then absolutely nothing over his gut, over his stomach, absolutely nothing over the crotch, nothing protecting his thighs, his legs, like, I guess maybe kind of those places. Really nothing protecting his arms. He just kind of has this third of an actual suit of armor on the top of his body, right? And it's a little bit paladin-like, right? In the sense that, in the way that it's put together with, like, the gleaming gray chest plate. Don't do that. The gleaming gray chest plate and the bright white cloak, right? That sort of billows in the permanent wind. Very sort of heroic, very sort of paladin-esque in that way. But getting a sense of who this guy is, what's his vibe, what's his deal, right? Like, what kind of person is he? And it's kind of a charisma vacuum, right? Like, there's really not... What kind of guy is this dude? Does he joke? Is he serious all the time, never makes a joke about anything? Is he charming? Is he funny? Is he hyperactive because of the lightning thing? Is he slow and stoic? Is he calculated and intellectual? There's really nothing in the character design that says anything beyond this is John Highguard, the Highguard man who Highguards for Highguard. And I don't know what the fuck his personality is. I don't know what his deal is, why I should be interested in him. Does he have a backstory? Does he have a life outside of guarding the High, wherever that may be? Can't say. He has no battle damage, right? Like, there's no scars or anything. There's not, like, if he's, like, a lightning guy who uses lightning powers, maybe he would have, like, lightning scars. You know, when people get struck by lightning, they get these unique scar patterns that sort of spread out in the shape of their capillaries. And it's like a really cool, distinctive way of someone, like, you can tell someone's been struck by lightning if you know what those look like. Anything like that? No, not really. No damage. Like, no evidence of a hard life that he's led, like being a soldier on the front lines. For one thing, also, because there's no dirt on him. Not a speck, not nothing. There's no dirt, no scratches, no damage, right? So the suit that he's wearing is like, okay, it kind of looks like he got it off the rack last week. Right, like, it's not just that it's perfectly maintained. It's not just that he's done a good job keeping it clean and laundering it. It looks like it's never been worn before, right? Like, it looks like he's never taken it into a fight. It doesn't look like anything, really, right? Like, so there's no sense of the person's life. There's no sense of what he spends his days doing when he's not shooting assault rifles and riding horses and throwing lightning bolts around. There's no sense of a person here. This is just John Highguard, the Highguarder, who guards the High because of the High needs guarding from things that want to bring it low, or whatever. The only really interesting part of his character design is these little dagger things on his waist are like, oh, okay, that implies something. They look like they're supposed to be lightning rods, maybe, of some kind. Like, he throws them and then he can call a lightning bolt down where they land. Something like that feels like the kind of thing that they're hinting at. And the gun that he has on the back of his hip. If only because the sort of knightly fantasy armor expression of his chest armor, and, like, with the cloak and all, does have a little bit of contrast with a fucking gun on his hip, right? Like, that's a little bit more cowboy in that sense, especially since it seems to be kind of a revolver. So there's something interesting there, even if still, I can't tell if he has the revolver because he's like a particularly trigger-happy, ready to fight, kind of like I'm always prepared for a battle kind of guy, or if this is just part of the like, if you told me that this guy was like a standard soldier in a standard uniform for a standard army and like not even a commander or anything, well, no, the cloak kind of says he has to be a commander of some kind. But if outside of the cloak, if you told me that this was just a standard soldier's outfit in some fantasy sci-fi army or whatever, I'd believe you, because there's no personality here. There's no personality here whatsoever. I don't know a goddamn thing about this guy from looking at him. Ah, well, okay. So there's some skins. This is, I guess, the Star Wars skin? Well, no. Oh, it's the Dune skin. Oh, it's the Dune skin. Holy shit, it's the Dune skin. It's called Sand Viper. The people of the desert followed him because he spoke the truth. They battled beside him because he fought without fear. They died for him because they loved... It's the Dune suit. It's fucking Lisan al-Gaib. It's the fucking Fremen suit. Oh my god. That's pretty blatant, too. That's funny. That's adorable. Anyway, this seems to be very much a let's make it literal, right? Like we have sort of a paladin vibe here. Now it's just, yeah, no, paladin guy. He's lost the gun on his hip here. I guess the gun isn't part of his kit then? Huh, interesting. The gun is just there as like a, yeah, again, standard issue for this uniform, I guess. And yeah, like given that it now is a full paladin armor, right? I do think this feels a little bit like it implies something more about him as a person, a little tiny bit, not a lot. In the sense, at least, that if a guy shows up wearing a full set of plate armor, you kind of go, oh, okay, knight, right? That's a knight. That's a guy who does knight stuff. That's, you know, honor. That's swearing an oath to fulfill a promise to a something or a sacred order, whatever. Like, there's maybe a little bit of implication there as to what kind of person he is. Even though, like, still, with the face that he has and the haircut and stuff, he still just looks kind of basic. Like, there's not that much to him still. This is just fucking... we watched Dune Part 2. Even has the Chris knife. Oh my god. Surely they're not going to get sued for this, right? Like, it is distinct. Like, it doesn't quite look like a still suit, but it's close. And he only has legendary skins, I guess. Here we have Roman Gladiator, which... that's weird to me. Because, and that's... here's the thing. So here... part of the reason why he has so little personality of any kind is because the shape language of his suit here doesn't really say anything. It doesn't imply a special aggression, but it also doesn't imply like he's a steel wall who plants, like it doesn't imply that he's a tank, it doesn't imply that he's like a damage dealer. There's not really any aggression to his shape language here, right? Like, there's not spikes or jagged edges, which again is the kind of thing you might expect from a guy whose whole deal is like he's lightning, he's thunder, he's like electricity and shit. You might expect like jagged edges and spikes and shit on a guy who's like that, but we don't get that. But we do kind of get that here with his gladiator skin, where all of a sudden we have all of these like spikes on the gauntlets and on like the leg things there. I don't think they should have that glow shit on it. That makes it look too sci-fi. I don't think that really worked. Now all of a sudden, like with like the animal's fur and like the head of a bear and shit like that, now it looks like aggressive. Now it looks like, oh shit, this guy is here to fucking kill someone. He's also flamboyant relative to his basic outfit, right? Like, this kind of looks like a guy who's a gladiator and is like, oh shit, this dude walks into the arena and it's like, he's got his theme music, people are chanting, he's like coming out, waving it. Like, there's a little bit of personality here that's very much missing from Captain Standard Suit guy here. And to be clear, I think it's partly the point of this guy is that he's supposed to be John Highguard. Like, I think part of the point of him is that he's supposed to not be that interesting. He's supposed to be sort of the baseline from which other things can then deviate in more outlandish directions, right? Like, in the same way that it used to be that a fighter like Ryu in Street Fighter, right, was sort of supposed to, this is the standard, this is John Street Fighter, right? Like, this is a standard Street Fighter guy who's just a dude in a white gi and a red headband, and he does martial arts, right? Like, and he has like a fireball, and it's like, he's sort of the standard model who's not supposed to be too extravagant, and then you have all the entire cavalcade of weirdos all around him, which you get to Blanca and Zangief and all that. Like, it's a baseline to branch out from. I think Atticus here is supposed to serve something of the same role for Highguard, and we can see that once we move on to some of the other characters. And I will say, I'm actually kind of charmed by Slade here, because, like, if John Highguard doesn't have any personality whatsoever, and he really doesn't, let me tell you. You see what I mean? It's like, yes, I salute, I'm soldier man who serves with honor and stuff. Slade here, like, at least it looks like there's a personality in there. At least it looks like he has a vibe, even if that vibe is total fucking douche. He looks like an asshole, and I say that very much as a complimentary. This guy looks like a piece of shit. This guy looks like the most annoying motherfucker at your gym. This guy looks like he's sliding into DMs where he really shouldn't be. Like, and it's so much of that, I think, is delivered just really attitude, right? Like, posing, posture, attitude of the guy, the way that he's like you look at his standing, right? The way that he has this sort of contrapposto leaning asymmetrically on one side, like letting the hip rest, and permanent smirk, permanently slightly, like, he's slightly to one side, right, all the time. He's not so straight up and down as John Highguard is. I'm going to keep calling him, I know his name is Atticus, I'm going to keep calling him that. There's a little bit more of a slanted edge to this guy. He's a little bit more off-kilter, and that provides a lot more of a sense of personality in the guy. You can kind of see that in the design as well, that there's elements here that sort of hint at a slightly less stable, sort of simple personality. The gauntlets, for example, being these magma gauntlet things that are sort of broken up and have this char effect up the thing. It's like, it implies less stability. Now, the outfit, unfortunately, is still... It has a little bit of Kingdom Hearts swag to it, like Kingdom Hearts swag as filtered through like a first-person shooter, but it has a little bit of the Tetsu Nomura vibe to it. A little bit of it is in there, I think, in the vest and the X over the top of the belts and shit. It has a little bit of it. I think it could have leaned in heavier to that. I think it could have gone even harder on making this guy look as outlandishly annoying as possible. There are things like, for example, he has these knee protectors, and I don't really know what they're for. If he has an ability where he slides on his knees specifically, then I guess they would sort of make sense from that perspective. But it does feel like you could have done a little bit more fashion with this guy. It feels like you could have done a little bit more, because he already has the fucking vest with his own emblem on the back of it, Cobra Kai-ass motherfucker, like he belongs to an unfriendly dojo or something. You could have done a little bit more with that. You could have put some... Give him a fucking graphic tee, right? Like with a flame on it or fucking whatever. Give him some slightly more bold contrasts so that he's not this sort of flat gray from the waist down. It's mostly this flat gray with brown on it. Like, give him a little bit more pop. A little bit more could have been done with this guy, but this guy looks like he has a personality, right? He does. Yeah. Speaking of Street Fighter, by the way, that's a little bit sort of a halfway point between Ken and Paul Williams from Tekken. A little bit, isn't it? Like there's some of that DNA in there somewhere, I think. But yeah, I am kind of charmed by Slade. Like, he looks like an entertaining asshole. Like a real piece, like a guy you don't want to know him, but you kind of want to hear about this guy arrogantly charging into a situation and falling on his ass. Like that feels like that would be an entertaining day. Just to hear those stories. He looks like a guy who's fun to hate, at the very least. And I do like his source of power, like the arms, right? Like the lava arms where he can throw fire from, presumably. I do like those. I think they could have been emphasized more. I think, like, the way that his giant muscly arms sort of just kind of peter out and end in these little piddly magma hands, I think they could have boosted up the size of the arms, like at the elbow, and like really given him slightly oversized hands to emphasize them a lot more. And that, I think, would have made it pop a little bit better. Like, I think a little bit more contrast in the color scheme, and like maybe the hands are bigger to really emphasize them as a part of him. And I think this guy could kind of be kind of a cool character design, frankly. Like, there's a personality here. I feel like I know something about this dude just from looking at him. I feel like I have a sense of him. Again, he looks like he got his clothes off the rack basically last week. Well, maybe not from the knees down. Like, these wrappings around the boots and shit, that does look like it's something that's a little bit more worn, like something that's seen a few miles. The boots, too, do look a little bit like they've seen some miles, which I appreciate. The rest of it, though, if this guy's daily hobby is playing with fire all the time, shouldn't he be burnt? Like, shouldn't there be scorch marks around the edges of his vest or whatever? Shouldn't he have, like, a little strand of his hair that's on fire? Shouldn't he have soot or something? Shouldn't there be some evidence, physical evidence, on the character that he throws fire around on the daily and he's an arrogant prick who gets himself into trouble? Or, like, whatever the deal is with him is, like, he's a firebrand, right? Like, he's someone who is extreme. You can kind of see that happening here, right? Like, because here we have this skin, and here we see, like, it's not burn damage exactly, but it is damage, right? Like, you can see there's, like, these ripped edges and shit like that. It's more of an aesthetic affectation than an actual set of damage, but it does add something to his vibe, right? Like, it makes him feel a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more wild, right? I kind of like the wrappings on the arms here. They sort of imply that he's sealing away his arms because they're too powerful, and if he unbuckles all those belts, he unleashes his full power or something. That's kind of interesting to me. This, on the other hand, I mean, sure. Why not? Like, I don't... Oh, okay. It's fine. It's not a modern military thing. It's just a little bit... They're doing a little bit of Metal Gear with the eye patch. I guess. Looks more like a sort of PS2 era sort of third-person destruction shooter of some kind. A little bit of Bionic Commando vibe over it somehow to me. Yeah, Slade is not bad. Okay, that's a little bit funny. I did not think he would wave like that. I didn't think he would wave by, like, going up on his tippy toes and kind of, like, going, hey, I'm over here. But then after he does that slightly awkward thing, he sort of recovers it by giving that little salute with his arm. I should check the emotes of John Concord as well. Yeah, I think the free greeting emote is obviously meant to be the worst of their emotes, so that you're encouraged to spend some money on. Okay, so I suspect that that emote goes with this skin. Which, again, this is what I talked about, right? Like, this guy, this costume looks like it has that kind of personality. This one goes with the Sand Viper. And that one would be for his Paladin skin. Okay, that's not a very good windmill. I mean, oh, that just goes on forever, doesn't it? But that's not a very good windmill. It's supposed to look like the staff is rotating multiple times, but it really doesn't look like that. It just kind of looks like it's doing a figure eight, which is the reality of what when you do that move. But that could be done a lot better, I think. That doesn't look very impressive. Anyway, Slade, I kind of like Slade. He's kind of fun. He looks like a sort of classic 80s douche character. Like, there's something to that. Let's see, Kai. I didn't read his bio. I would guess wind powers, just from the... Oh no, cold. This disciplined monk harnesses the cold to reshape the battlefield for defense and protection until his inner demon takes over. Oh, I'd like to see his frost giant form. I don't suppose we can see that in here. No. I don't think this is necessarily what it'll look like either. So he's a frost monk. I should kind of discerned that, like, from the fucking... Look how blue his fucking skin is. Okay. This is not terrible. This is not terrible. If I'd spent more than a half a second looking at him, I could probably have been able to see that he was a frost guy. Just from looking at his eyes and the eyebrows, I should really have spotted that. Yeah, frost guy. I can see that. So there's some Jack Frost shit. If you remember Rise of the Guardians, that movie, there's definitely some Jack Frost shit going on here, especially the way they handle his hair, which is interesting, sort of conceptualizing the hair as a bit of a snowflake, essentially. So the thing about this design is I really like it from the waist up, more or less. From the waist down, I'm kind of like, oh, You just kind of ran out of ideas there, did you? That's just kind of pants and a pair of shoes. You didn't want to give him winter boots. You didn't want to give him bare feet because he's a monk. You didn't want to give him some trousers that are a little more interesting. Skates? Ice skates? Like, I don't know. From the waist down, he's like nothing. Like there's nothing going on here. This is just some hipster with like an extra knee pad and like a gun holster strapped to his leg. That just looks like a guy walking down the street in Brooklyn in 2008, like from the waist down. So that I don't really find super interesting, but I do kind of dig the look of the coat. So there's a couple of things happening here, right? He has the coat half off, right? Which is a sort of classic, like, Ronin, to some extent also like Shaolin monk-ish, because it sort of mimics the half cut of the robes that you often associate with, like, a martial arts monk archetype. But I like that the look of this coat thing itself, it's quite thick, right? Like, it does look pretty, like, heavy-duty. Like, it's meant to resist the cold weather. I think they could have given it some, 4. The fuck is that in English? 4. Like, when you have a coat, and it's a lining, it's lined on the inside with fur or something like that. I think they could have given it a little bit more of that aspect of being like, this is cold weather survival gear. That's, like, appropriate to whatever environment this guy comes from, whatever frozen mountaintop or glacier that his monastery is at. They could have done a little bit more with that, but I kind of like that big, thick, heavy pocket there. It kind of has the vibe of cold weather gear to me. Like, it has the vibe of something that's meant to be worn in rugged weather somewhere. And speaking of which, this is, like, also the first bit of clothing I've seen that doesn't feel like it came straight off the rack. That doesn't feel like he just picked it up yesterday. It feels like there's some wear and tear on it. Well, maybe not tear, but at least some wear. Like, you look at the discoloration here around the belt, and just the way that it's, like, wrinkled and kind of bunched up, and that does feel a little bit more like it's something he's worn more than one time in his life, which is helped also by the casual nature of, like, the fact that he's got, like, one sleeve off. Dramatic. Well, not even a sleeve, really. That would have been cool if there had been, like, a sleeve hanging down. But he's got, like, one of them off the shoulder. It's sort of tied against this knot with the belting. Like, that does look more worn. That does look a little bit more lived in. A little bit more like this is just the way that he wears it because it's more comfortable for him for some reason. Still too clean. Like, I still really do feel like anyone who lives, like, where the storytelling is supposed to tell you this guy lives a rough existence, like training in the mountains, in the blizzards and snowstorms, like controlling his inner demon. There should be more visible struggle in him, right? Like, there should be more visible struggle in the way that he's designed, in the way that he carries himself. There is something good about his posture, though. Like, I like this, again, relative to John Highguard and relative to Slade. This guy stands stock still, right? He doesn't shift his weight. He doesn't move. He has, like, a stance, and he stands in that stance, and he just holds it, and he's not tense as such, right? It's not like he's got clenched fists and, like, shoulders up, and, like, he's not like a boxer ready to punch, but there is a certain springy tension to him, right? Like, it does look like he's standing there waiting for something to happen, like he's anticipating something, right? He's not clenching his fists very much. Like, that one's closed, that one's open. But there is a sense of tension in him. Like, there is a sense of, I'm just waiting for it. I'm just waiting for the right moment. I'm observing, I'm watching, and then spring into action. But he's still. I like that. Right? Like, there's idle motion on him a little bit. There's the permanent wind flowing through his hair and shit. But he looks cold. Right? Unlike Slade, who's, like, quite hyperactive in the way that he stands. Like, he's like adjusting himself, sort of like rolling his shoulders. He's doing a little thing here and there. Right, you can see there's wiggling in him. He's looking to one side. He's shifting his weight. Kai here is just, I'm watching. I'm waiting. I like that. That's good. That's good animation on the character to tell us something about his personality, about his vibe, right? What's it like being in the room with this guy? Probably a little bit unnerving. Probably a little bit like, do you go skating or whatever? I never skate. Oh, what do you like to eat? I don't eat. Like that feels like the vibe of being in the room with this guy, right? A sort of unnerving stillness and cold. He doesn't feel chill. Ironically, it doesn't feel like being in the room with this guy would be chill. It feels like it would be chilly, right? So I like many aspects of his design here. Like, I think his attitude comes across well. I really like that you can see the frost and the ice on his character design. And it's like an encroaching thing, right? It's something that's creeping up over his skin. It's something that, like, this shoulder piece almost looks like he's trying to seal it away, right? Like, almost looks like it's supposed to contain the frost to his arm a little bit. It's presumably not, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, is that the frost is something that's encroaching on him. The cold is something that's creeping into him and over his heart and everything. Which, if the part of the story is that he's a monk and he's so disciplined because he has an inner ice demon or whatever that's threatening to take over, that's reasonably effective storytelling for that. Like, this thing about a human body that's struggling to control and contain the icy heart and, like, the power of the frost that he's working with. Outside of that, I don't know that I like the way that the ice is rendered on his arms very much. It just kind of looks like plastic. It looks like he's wearing rubber gloves or something. I don't really get the sense of ice from this. It's very smooth. Like the classic way you show ice is going with like a crystal structure, right? Like where it's like shards and crystals and shit like that. That's a little boring. I can understand if they wanted to get away from that, but I don't think this kind of really has the translucency you would expect from ice. As such, it looks too solid, and like that's what makes it look kind of like rubber or plastic. Is I would want more translucency. I would want more of a sense of like, shit, you can kind of see the light filtering through his limbs here. A little bit more of that glass-like quality, which I kind of don't think here. So, like, from the waist up, with the coat, the sort of martial arts monk thing, I quite like this. I like that the coat looks big and thick and kind of like a sou'wester, actually. I don't know about the shoulder guard as such. Like, as an element that sort of seems like it's supposed to contain the one arm, that's pretty cool. But then he has the other arm, and he does absolutely nothing to, it looks like, to contain that one. So it's something, it adds asymmetry, which, like, there's always a point to asymmetry. That's something that makes a character stand out a little bit. But, it feels a little perfunctory to some extent. Like, I feel like the shoulder guard could have a more clear function to him, rather than just generic protection that, like, this is something he wears because like, what if it was like a special structure, like a thing with little like tabs on it or whatever, and there's prayer beads strung around all of them or something like that. Like, it could have a religious function. You could do something a little bit more to tie into the sort of monastic religious nature of the guy. There are things you could do. I like the pendant on the waist, though. Like, that has that monastic feel. Once again, the gun feels like the most out-of-place thing here. Like, does he need one? Isn't he a guy who just uses ice magic? He's a monk, right? So why does he have a firearm? On the other hand, monk with a gun, I think there's a... Is it Jet Li, or is it... There is a movie with a monk with a gun, which is like a martial arts movie. It was pretty cool, from the 2000s. I cannot remember who's in it, though. I don't think it was... Maybe it was Jet Li? I can't remember. Anyway, Demon Prince. Well, okay. Yeah, I mean... What? No, keep the skin on. Okay, well. I wanted to get in close with him there, but I guess I can't. So we're sort of reversing the idea here. Now we're taking all the blue and the yellow and, like, all of the sort of coldness away, and we're replacing it with... Same thing with, like, the smoothness I was talking about with the arms. We're replacing that with sharpness. So we're definitely going a little bit for the thirst trap here, for the sort of Bishonen, beautiful demon prince kind of vibe. Once again, from the waist down, things kind of fall apart a little bit. Like, I like the outfit up here. I like the human skulls. I like the gourd of alcohol, presumably alcohol. I like the asymmetric horns here. I like, again, one of the horns is broken, that's evidence of a life of violence, right? Like, that's evidence that this guy gets into scraps. That's evidence that this guy has something broken about him, has taken damage over the course of his life. That's personality. The big earrings are pretty cool, too. It might have been cool if those were only on one ear, maybe to contrast the horn, so, like, he has one earring over here and not one... I don't know, something like that. But yeah, like, once again, from the waist down, it then just kind of loses steam, and it's like, he has fake claws on his toes, because... question mark, question mark, question mark, and also the strings wrapped around his shin because of a reason. He's just... where, like, from the waist up, he looks very elegant, right? Like, with all the gold filigree and shit, he looks like Demon Prince, right? Like, he looks like someone who's got a bunch of, like, an expensive lifestyle, or who's from some kind of royal demon family or whatever. And then from the waist down, it's like pants and this wrapping around the knees because of... and then tied some things on his legs because something had to be there. Like, this feels unmotivated. This doesn't really feel like it relates to the rest of him. I would just have given him demon feet, really. Like, just let those dogs out to breathe, and then give him actual clawed toes. Like, if you wanted to make it horny, like, I promise you, that'll make it hornier to a lot of people. And finally, Frost Giant, essentially, I guess. This is more... yeah. Like, this is more the classic way to render ice, right? Like, where it's a kind of crystal or a kind of rock, almost. And I can see, like, that works for this skin, I suppose. And it does look more ice-like in that regard. Still, I would like this to be... I like the smoothness. I like the idea that this is, like, smoothly polished down, like, really hardened, like, hard, frozen ice after a night of slight melting, and then you come out the next morning and there's just like fucking hard black ice on the road or whatever. It kind of looks that. I want the translucency here, but it works well enough here. One thing I do like about this skin is the frost creeping in on everything, right? Like little frost crystals forming on his outfit, on his bit. Like, again, thinking about Slade and the way that no part of him was burned or scorched or had any visible signs of fire interaction at all. This has a lot of fire interaction, and I like it. I like... oh, well, not fire. It has ice interaction. I like that. I like that there's some evidence here that this guy's body is made of ice, and it freezes everything, and that includes the shit that he wears and the stuff that he touches on a daily basis or that he's in close contact with. Any particle of water that lands on this guy is instantly flash frozen, and it just kind of sits there. I like that. That gives some physicality, some evidence to the nature of his body, right? His body has an effect on the things around him, and so you get a sense of the impact of the cold. I like that. I don't know that, like, I don't think the head is very good. Like, I like the sort of frozen pretty boy Bishonen thing he's got going on here with the slightly silly hair. I like the wild demon prince thing. He's got like the back sweat thing. This here, though, it's just kind of, oh yeah, it's just there. And he has a mask thing around his face because, look, again, there's a lack of motivation to what exactly that mask thing is supposed to do for him. But, like, the fur lining and that, like, yeah. And, like, even from the waist, down, because there's all this frost and ice gathering around the edges of his stuff, of the things that he's wearing, from the waist down, this one actually feels more like it's doing some storytelling for the character. Right? Like, just because it has that passive effect happening. Yeah, that's pretty good. I kind of like Kai. Like, Slade and Kai... I like him. I can see the idea of these characters. There's a personality to them. Let's see. Scarlet. What was your bio, insofar as you have one? A trained assassin. That's the wind character who wields wind and sand to outflank opponents and infiltrate enemy bases. Okay, so she's kind of supposed to be... She should be the one who has the fucking Fremen skin. Maybe she does. Let's check. She does not. Okay, she should be the one with the Fremen skin. Like, why the fuck does he have one? She should have that too. Like, make it a skin line. She should have a Fremen skin. If she's like the wind and sand character, like, come on. Anyway. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, okay, so, oh, well, there's junk in the trunk. There rather is. That's actually kind of a lot of ass. Okay, I mean, good for her, I guess. Yeah, I'm not really... I don't really know about this one very much. Again, much like John Highguard, I struggle to sense specific personality here, right? Like, she's showing a lot of skin, right? Like, not in the sense, she doesn't look like a titty babe, like she doesn't look like she's supposed to be a thirst trap in that sense, but she's showing a lot of skin, and I think the purpose of that here is this idea that she's like wind, right? Like, she's like the wind, she's very free, she's very light, she's very unburdened. I guess I can kind of see that. The thing is, if you want to demonstrate that a character is about wind, right? Like that they have like a wind thing going on, you kind of need something that can billow in the wind and show that, right? Like that's the main way that you show that the wind, the air is present and is a force in a given scene is you have stuff that moves in the air, right? And we have that with the scarf, right? And if that was a unique feature only to her, then you would kind of go, oh, okay, this is like her thing. She's the one who has the scarf or the thing that like the flowing thing, but so does he. So does he with the hair. She? Them. I don't know. Right? And like even Kai kind of has like a thing. So she doesn't really have that as a unique feature, only she's the one with a thing that billows in the wind all the time. I feel like if you wanted to... If you know the video game Journey by That Game Company, that's what they're called. They're called That Game Company. One of the things about that is you're a desert traveler, and you have this long scarf that gets longer and longer and longer as you travel. And it has like that has a lot of good interactions with the wind. I would like if the scarf was even way longer, and maybe it seemed to float unnaturally in the wind, as though something specifically was like manipulating it into staying afloat in specific patterns or whatever. Maybe that would work a little bit more. And my trouble with the rest of her outfit is that it's way too fucking tight on her. And again, I can see the idea that she's the wind and therefore she's like unburdened and light and like she's like agile in that sense, I suppose. Again, with the knee pads. I guess it's because it's because it's like an Apex Legends thing where everyone can slide. Except he kind of does have knee pads. So everyone can slide, and therefore everyone needs knee pads. Okay, I guess that makes sense. I guess that kind of justifies everyone having knee protection somewhat. It's just a weird thing to repeat across these characters. Anyway, my main problem here is kind of the same problem I have with Janna from League of Legends, which is that if the whole point of the character is the wind, right? The whole point is this is the wind, this is the character who does wind stuff. She kind of needs more shit that billows. She needs long hair, she needs streamers, she needs like a belt or like an even longer scarf or a robe or like bell-bottom pants or fucking whatever. Like something else that can move in the wind, something else that can show that invisible force of the wind acting on her and her environment. Because right now, all there really is the scarf. And because it's not unique to her, because it's not like, oh, she is the one with the scarf that billows. No, that's like multiple characters that have things that billow. It doesn't mark her out. She doesn't stand out as a wind-based character in that way. The other thing is she supposed to be a thirst trap? Like, is she supposed to be the horny, sexy skin character? Like, is she supposed to be the flirty character who's kind of cute and fun and, like, who's, like, dresses provocatively because that's just kind of an expression of who she is? I don't know, because it doesn't really feel that way. Like, she obviously has all that ass, right? And she's showing some skin. But she's not really designed in the sort of busty titty babe vein. And that's not a problem. Like, it's not a bad thing. She doesn't have to be that. It's just... without... If it's not... She's not supposed to be sort of flirty and sexy. Because you kind of can't do that with pants like that. Then the lack of... like, the showing skin is only about showing that she's, like, free and unburdened. And that's weird. Like, that she has this single layer thing all across the top of her body. Right? Like, where it's, like... she has, like, this sports bra-looking thing on. She has this scarf sort of tied around it. It's all sort of very tight, like, very single layer. But then you get down below her waist, and once again it's like, oh, she has pants, and then she has pants on top of the pants, and then she has these like straps on top of the pants, and then she has these knee pads on top of the straps on top of the pants, and then she has these boots, and it's like, oh, okay, but where's all of this then? Where's this unburdened freedom then? Where's this, like, I don't wear anything more than what I need to because I'm agile, I am the wind, I am floating around, I'm kick-flipping, doing shit, and then all of a sudden here from the waist down, it gets really heavy all of a sudden. It gets, like, pants and more pants and things and top of things and more things and layers and layers and layers. That's weird. That feels like a dissonance to me, where either you have a thing where she wears, like, only a shirt and, like, honestly, she could have done with a skirt of some kind, like maybe a half skirt. And that feels very gender essentialist, right? Like, oh yeah, the girl, she should be wearing a skirt. I know. But mostly because that's like a kind of fabric that can billow in the wind, that can flow, that can like fly around, that can show the power of the wind. And it's also very light, and it's also very agile because there's nothing constraining her motion. Something like that, like a half skirt, or I don't know, like, it feels like, yeah, it feels like from the waist down, this outfit just doesn't quite make sense to me. Because it doesn't look acrobatic either, right? Like, if she's, like, supposed to be, like, the agile wind assassin, this doesn't really look acrobatic. This looks, like, strapped down and constrained, and, like, this all these layers just crunching down on it. It looks trapped more than it looks free, is the thing. And I guess that's kind of the thing that bothers me a little bit about her cape scarf thing as well, is if the idea here is like freedom, wind, flowiness, then it's a little bit weird she does this fucking shibari thing. Like, it looks cool. I kind of like the look of it. It's just semiotically, in terms of like what it's trying to say, the fact that it's like strapped down and it's like specifically like something that's constrained around her, that's like wrapped around her and clenching around her, feels kind of contrary to the idea. And again, I'm operating on the assumption that she's supposed to be like free, agile, light. These are the vibes we're going for. Like someone who's like more about flow and motion and movement than all the rest of the characters. And it just kind of isn't there. The outfit just kind of, it doesn't quite support that idea. I like the tattoos on her, like on her arms and down her hands and shit. That's a motif that could have, oh, fuck, that's not what it's supposed to do. Oh! Yeah, see, like, acrobatic, agile. Okay, yeah, there. Okay, yeah, I know what that pose is for. Again, if she's supposed to be the sexy one, if she's supposed to be the thirst trap with the big juicy ass and shit, I don't think they're going hard enough on the thirst. Like, I think they could go harder on making her, like, horny, sexy shit, like, that kind of thing. Because that's fine, so long as that's not the only thing that a woman can be in the video game. If other characters have other appeals, then it's fine. Then you could have gone a little bit harder on that and, like, leaned into it. And, like, really go, like, no, this is our Widowmaker, right? Like, this is our hot girl with cleavage and a fat ass kind of thing. You can do that if, like, if there's a clarity about what it is, and if it's not, like, reductive in the sense of women can only be this. And if you also have some guy characters. This is one of the things about Marvel Rivals. I need to talk about Marvel Rivals again soon. Marvel Rivals has done a fantastic job of being equal opportunity thirst trappers. Like, they are pandering hard to the gay male gaze. I've seen some of those new Thor skins. Good lord. And Venom, of course, always. You can do that. Like, that's a lesson I think you could take from Marvel Rivals here, is like, if you want to do something hot, sexy, skimpy, flirty, like pandering in that sense, you can do that. You just kind of have to know what to lean into. Yeah, I don't know about this character design. Like, I can see ideas here that are interesting. I like the tattoos. Man, I think the tattoos should be like if you maybe got rid of all those fucking layers from her legs and gave her something a little bit more light and flowy, maybe some pants with, like, where there's, like, a slit down the side of the thigh, and then you continue, like, the tattoo patterns so that they run down the side of her thighs as well. And they're so, like, the tattoos kind of become her signature thing, like, these specific designs, like, become a personal insignia for her, and maybe you can, like, because you could do the that design on the tattoos could be the basis for the design on the scarf as well, right? Like, it could be a cultural thing, something that belongs to her origins or her history. You could emphasize that, maybe. That would be interesting. As it stands right now, like, you have this iconography on, like, her shoulders and on the side of her chest that feels of an aesthetic kind with the tattoos, but not entirely. Yeah, it's ununified. Because she has that face tattoo, right? She has that one on the forehead. It feels like that could be her gimmick. That could be her thing. That could be something that, like, identifies her very uniquely and specifically. I don't know. I mean, she's hot. But is that what is that the main appeal I'm supposed to take away from her? She looks competent, cool, but is that, like, what's the deal with this character? I'm not sure. It feels unfocused. It feels like... It feels not quite finished in some ways. And again, very much the opposite of Concord. Like, Concord characters were also very weird and very personality-free, but with them it felt like because they run through the revisions mill 480 times more than they actually needed to, it felt like all traces of personality had been sanded down. Here it feels like personality hasn't quite been carved out of her yet. Where, like, maybe a couple more rounds in the character design mill, you could sort of drill down to something that's more specific and unique and, like, expressive of her. I think it really is the pants that bother me. It's the pants. It's this arrangement. It's the weight of all of that relative to the freedom and the lightness of all of this. I think it's the pants. I think those are the ones that are really confusing my sight here. Okay, so here we have... This is a D&D dryad, essentially. This is a D&D skin, essentially. A little bit of an old-school-ish D&D skin. I don't know. This doesn't really... Yeah, this kind of has the cosplay problem, where this looks like it's a skin where she has a whole bunch of plant props, right? That she's, like, tied on to her outfit in order to make it plant-themed, where I would much rather, like, it doesn't look like living, growing plants, right? Like, and it's supposed to. I think it's supposed to, because, like, you look down here, there's supposed to be, like, a root network that's, like, spreading across her legs. But this just doesn't look like living plant material, does it? This looks kind of plasticky and kind of like you got it at Home Depot. Do they sell plants at Home Depot? I'm not actually American. Maybe I shouldn't reference American stores, but, like, I don't think anyone knows what I mean when I say, like, plant to school outside of Denmark. IKEA. Let's say IKEA. They sell fake plants. They look more like IKEA plant leaves than leaves that are, like, organically growing from her or that she, like, fashioned into a... It looks more like she's taken a bunch of leaves and sort of hot glued them onto her outfit rather than her outfit is made out of leaves, you know? It's not bad. Like, it's a perfectly fine sort of D&D fantasy kind of skin situation, dryad, whatever. It's just... Yeah, I don't know. Like, it feels a bit basic. Then we have this. The mask she wore was a thing of beauty made to hide an ugly deed. That night she learned the one she trusted most had been wearing one too. Okay, so this is like 1001 Nights. Is this, yeah, like fantasy intrigue, sort of courtly shit happens at the palace, mask ball kind of vibe, I guess. Again, with the cleavage and like the necklace that's hanging down there to draw your attention to it, it feels like I'm supposed to be like, oh shit, that, oh my god, man. Like, it feels like I'm supposed to be finding this sexy, but it doesn't feel like it's really committed to being horny as such. And because of the mask and because of the covering cloak over it, it also doesn't feel like it's supposed to be like, oh, this is not supposed to be like horny. This is supposed to be like, holy shit, gorgeous. Like, this is beautiful. This is like, she walks into the party and everyone's heads turns and she's so fucking elegant and gorgeous and dressed up. Like, it doesn't really, again, there's that problem of not quite committing to an idea. I feel. The boots also kind of confuse things a little bit here because they are armored, they're high heels as well. Does she wear high heels in her? No, she just wears boots. They are high heels, which is, appropriate for a party, but then they have armoring on the front of them, like they're sort of supposed to be protective. or defensive in some way. And then that gold thing is just kind of, again, there's gold accents here and there, and then gold and midnight blue, but they don't really mesh. Yeah, I don't know about this one either. Again, I'm not 100% sure what the appeal is here. Like, this is the skin I wear because I want to what? I want to look like what, exactly? What's the thing I'm looking for? Am I looking for a masked hero? That's kind of the thing I'm getting, sort of Scarlet Pimpernel, sort of high society masked hero vibes, right? From the mask and thing. It's like a Zorro thing, sort of. But then the outfit itself is like, this is like a sexy evening wear gown, except it's too short to be that, really. Like, it kind of feels like with the slit up the thighs, that works better when the dress is longer. Whereas when it's short like this, it just kind of looks like she's forgotten to put on the lower half of the outfit. And is that supposed to be sexy? Like, am I supposed to go, oh shit, oh my god, ma'am? Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know what I'm supposed to, what's the fantasy here, right? Because here the fantasy is obvious, right? The fantasy is I am a dryad, I am an elf from a D&D game that someone played in 3.5 edition or whatever, right? Like, it's classic fantasy dryad shit. The fantasy here is obvious. Like, the idea of, like I play this skin because I want to look like X, that's obvious. Here, I don't know if I'm supposed to be like, yeah, I'm a secret hero infiltrating a masked party ball, or is it like a romantic fantasy? Is it a sexy fantasy? Is it a high court intrigue fantasy? What's the deal here? I don't know. Half-baked. I think that's sort of the vibe for Scarlet here, unfortunately. Is like some revisions maybe she could have gone through to settle on a stronger visual concept. But now that I know they have these introduction animations that I completely missed, let me just... Yeah! In the pecs. Oh, asshole. Yeah, no. I stand by it. That guy looks like a fun kind of douche. Like, he also probably could use another round or two in iteration and shit like that, but, like, absolutely. How about this guy? Oh! Well, there's the demon form. Holy shit. Oh, it's like an Oni. Okay, I like that. We're gonna have to see that again. Okay, now this is good. Okay, so his Oni form is like a classic Oni form, like an Eastern style sort of demon. And then he's meditating to sort of recover from it. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, I like that. Like, because that's big and bulky. It had kind of a belly on it, too. Like, he's so slight and he's, like, twinkish. And, like, a little pretty boy, kind of very agile. And then it has, like, an actual belly on it. Like, actual paunch and, like, power. And big and brutal. I like that. That classic sort of two-phase Jekyll and Hyde kind of dynamic, right? But I like that. That's good. Like, nothing genius or whatever. It's just standard, good, classic design practice. Now, this guy. How do you enter a scene, my guy? Can we see some personality from you? No! No, we can't! Okay. It's a superhero landing? He falls like a lightning strike and he does a superhero landing and a fucking salute? Oh my god! Oh my god, this man is boring. It's almost so boring that it's entertaining. Oh my god. Like, you can have a boring character, right? Like, you can have a central boring character that the other more eccentric weirdos can kind of bounce off. And, like, if they ever develop any kind of narrative universe around this, which, you know, maybe they won't, having this guy be the dude who doesn't understand a joke and who's like such a stick up his ass and everyone else takes the piss out of him, that could be compelling character dynamics right there. Anyway, Una. Let's see. A spirit binder capable of summoning the wayward spirits of the wildwood to aid her in battle. Oh, it is a her. Cool. Oh, I like that. Like, it's a female character, and she gets to be fucking beefy. Like, proper, actually, for real beefy. Not, like, In the same way, like, Zarya from Overwatch gets to be proper beefy. I think Junker Queen, too, kind of does, but there's a tendency when you make a female... a lot of games make female characters and they are supposed to be, like, muscular. It's like, yeah, muscular, but not with big arms, though. Like, they don't get to be thick. They don't get to have, like, actual body mass to go with those muscles. They get to be extremely light and thin and athletic, and then there's a little bit of muscle definition on them, but they don't get to have actual muscle. That's one of the things that's so nice about Zarya from Overwatch, and this is pretty fucking cool from her as well. I like that. Like, it's a female character who isn't bound specifically to look like a standard video game female character. That is refreshing. I like that. Yeah, here's a little bit of like, here they play up the femininity a little bit more with cleavage and shit like that. Valkyrie skin, I guess, but that's a female character. Excellent. Fucking awesome. That alone is pretty cool. I like that. I like when games experiment with ranges of gender expression, because so many games don't, especially in the sort of free-to-play MOBA shooter space, like this fucking League of Legends. Overwatch, for that matter, in many ways also is unwilling to, like, in Overwatch you would expect that the mask would be on the side of her head and she would have a full face of makeup, right? It's a little bit that. I like that. Non-traditional gender expression. Excellent. Outside of that, I don't get much of a sense of personality from this design. As such, like, the mask is cool. The mask is like, any character that wears a mask, there's this, like, ambiguity about their identity, right? Like, that inevitably introduces an ambiguity about what is the identity of the person behind the mask? What do they look like? Do they have something to hide? Is the mask maybe the real personality, or is there a true person underneath? Like, is it like an act that they're putting on? There's all kinds of interesting questions about, like, characterization and personality when it comes to characters that wear masks. That's sort of inherent just to the mask as a thing. And, like, that doesn't feel like anything else in the design is really playing into any of that. Like, we're not really getting identity ambiguity. We're not really getting any contrast between, like, oh, maybe there's a true personality and a mask personality. Not really. The outfit is very nothing. And that can also, like, anonymity can be the point, right? Like, anonymity of the thing of, like, the outfit says very little about who the character is because there's the mask and they're kind of hiding themselves. But this is not interesting enough to be uninteresting. Like, this is not interesting enough to be anonymous. It's not anonymous enough to be anonymous, right? It's anonymous enough to feel like it doesn't have a personality, but it's not anonymous enough that you kind of go, ooh, that's anonymous, right? Like, that's the mysterious and hiding something. Also, being a spirit summoner who summons forest creatures. Okay, if we were doing forest, you would think green, you would think plant imagery, maybe some leaf filigree or something on something, or tree roots or anything. Red is more blood, it's more fire, it's more, yeah, passion, energy, rage, anger. But I'm not really seeing any real signs of that here either. Yeah, I don't... Like, the most interesting thing about this character design is the main mask. The hair is pretty cool. Like, the hair has a wildness to it, right? The hair has this, like, it's attached in this, like, long ponytail, but it's also, like, wild. It's also poking outside. It's not tied down properly, right? Like, so there's a wildness and an unpredictability to that I kind of like. It's a little bit Princess Mononoke in that sense. But then the rest of the sign is, like, I'm not getting the sense of someone who's, like, wild or particularly brutal in, like, a rules of nature kind of way. Again, the total lack of any wear and tear. Like, there's a little bit. There's, like, a little tiny repair that has happened here on one side of, like, their lower coat. Which is like, oh, okay. So there's been some damage to it, but that's literally the only evidence of any damage or wear and tear to it at all. So it doesn't quite look like it came straight off the rack, but it's not far off. So this is a character who lives in the woods alone as a hermit, but they have these nice shoes and this very sort of again, if a character is supposed to be connected to nature, right? This is someone who lives outside of the bounds of like society, away from the production lines of industrialism, away from mass-produced clothing, away from all of that, then the outfit she's wearing is like, these pants look like boiler pants. Like, they look like something you would find on like an industrial forge worker, right? Like, that's kind of the vibe of them. They don't really look like the pants of a forest dweller who's making her own stuff out of leather from things that she hunts or whatever. It just looks like, yeah, these look like the pants of a factory worker of some kind. Same thing with the boots. They look civilized, essentially. Like, I use that word with large air quotes around it. It looks like it comes from industrialized civilization, a lot of this stuff. And then there's bits like the shoulder piece here, right? Like with those interesting sort of design textures on it. That looks a little bit more like, oh, this looks almost like sort of maybe inspired by the Jomon culture in Japan, like these sort of like concentric line designs. And you have things like the bells and like the knife, which almost seems like there's like it's growing out of like a plant handle. It's like, oh, okay, there's some nature there. So like, yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to take from the character design here. Is this like a wild forest woman with a mask who lives off the land and like protects the communes with nature and protects the trees, or is she from a highly functional industrialized society where they can make like metal clasps for her shoulder pad? And yeah, like it's that thing of like there's so much opportunity for storytelling in just the materials and the means by which a character's outfit is constructed, right? The materials that they're made of, how, like, what tools would have been necessary to put together this outfit, and it feels to me like a lot of the tools here would have to be industrial, right? Just for the metal clasp here, you have to have an industrial production pipeline that includes, like, mines and forges and, like furnaces, and that includes, like, a manufacturing plant and, like, like a fucking mold place where they can make, like, the molds for the things, and, like, there's so much industrial production necessary to a bunch of the stuff that she's wearing that I find it hard to see it as an expression of she's self-sufficient, right? Or that she lives in a pre-industrial or anti-industrial culture. So, okay, so there's not that. But on the other hand, there's also not evidence that she's like a techno-mage, right? Like someone who lives, like, uses technology as part of her connection with nature or whatever. It's, yeah. Again, the character design is anonymous enough that it feels like it's not conveying anything about her personality, but it's not anonymous enough to be interesting anonymous. The most interesting thing about her character design are the masks on her hip. The different masks, right? I suspect these would be the masks with which she summons. Like, it's like, if I were to take a guess, it's like she takes a mask off her belt and throws it, and then an animal appears, that, like a body of the animal appears from magic spirits or whatever, and then that's the summon, is the kind of vibe I would get from that. But they have glowing green eyes, and then her mask itself doesn't. So, I don't know. I like the gender expression. I like that it's non-standard. I like that she looks like she's over 40. Possibly. Hey, there's a scar. There's a tiny little battle scar right there. Cool. She has a little bit of damage. Oh yeah, a little bit of damage on the left shoulder. Is there more? Is there more visible damage on her? No. I mean, that's a little something. That's a little something that implies that she lives maybe in a place where you can't get instant medical attention for minor injuries, I guess, a little bit. So that's something. What's your scene? Oh yeah! Looks like I was right. The masks are the summons. And she whittles new masks. Oh, that's cool. That's cute. Cute little summon. Yeah, too anonymous. I really don't get a sense of character from this. Oh, I forgot to check emotes on her, didn't I? Oh, there's only one. Again with the agility. That's for this skin, then. And her dress does not fall down. I mean, I guess censorship, like, for avoid having the rating of the game increased or whatever. That's just a little weird. That she's wearing that thing and then it just stands up like it's made of plastic. Ah, well. Let's see. Did we check his emotes while we were at it? I don't think we did we? Oh, he only has the one. Cute. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. It's not a unique wave. That's just a generic emote. That's a Fortnite emote. Okay, it's a Fortnite emote. It's not unique to him. So that's why it felt a little bit off on Slade here. It's because it's not designed for him. Ah, that's a pity. Yeah, she shares that emote with John Highguard. Yeah, see, there's something. Like, she's doing, like, a ritual for the little spirits with the bells and shit like that. That's cool. I like that. It's supposed to go with one of her skins, though. I think this one? Okay, I don't think that necessarily goes with this as such, but... Okay, so the Wild Guard skin here. Well, that kind of had, like... Oh, here we have a character who's connected with nature. Here we have a character who's, like, making her outfit out of the stuff. Like, well, for the most part, you can still see from the waist down the pants and stuff. Like, a lot of more industrially produced stuff. But, like, here, oh, a wooden breastplate and, like, gauntlets made of wood and, like, a mask. This feels much more connected with nature all of a sudden, doesn't it? Also because it's green rather than red, which is, you know, it's the thing. Again, damage, right? Like, it's like, oh, maybe she had this made, like, she bought this at an industrial place once upon a time, or had it made by some tribe that had, like, a tribe or a village or something that has more advanced, like, textile production capacities. But living a long and hard life alone out in the forests and the woods has damaged it and torn it up, and that gives some evidence of a life lived. This feels like kind of just a better base character design in some ways. Yeah. There's a little bit more personality in it as well, in the sense that it's wearing decoration, right? Like, here we have, like, this little necklace of, I guess, animal teeth or whatever that's sort of shared across multiple places on the character. That gives us this, this is a character who would keep trophies, right? Like, this is a character who, after a hunt, would take a trophy and wear it, right, to prove or to remember, or, like, there's a reason why they're doing that. And you get a little bit more of a sense of a personality from that than you do from, well, this. Yeah, this feels like straight up, in many ways, just kind of a better base character design. I would still do something more interesting with the cloth and clothing, but this feels a lot closer to something that's like, yeah. Huh. Okay, Condor. A skilled explorer who channels her extrasensory abilities through her winged guardian to track enemy movements. A winged guardian, you say? Could you summon that for me? Oh, it's a vulture! Oh, that's cool! I don't know that the dancing you're doing matches the music you're playing. It feels like you're dancing to a jig or a reel. But I think the music she's playing is just like the main theme of the game. I like that it's a vulture. I like that a lot. Vultures are cool. Like, vultures are they have a lot of personality as birds, right? Because normally with a character like this, you would expect, oh, it's an eagle, right? It's an eagle, it's some big, majestic bird of prey kind of situation. But vultures are these, like, turkey-necked, sort of gangly little weirdos as birds, right? Gangly little weirdos, incredibly impressive flight abilities. A lot of vultures have. They are actually fascinating, interesting birds, but they look a little silly, right? They look a little weird. They look a little, like, off-putting and kind of ugly in some ways, and I like that. I like that she has a bird companion, which is a very powerful flyer, right? Like, which is a really cool, interesting bird, but which isn't just, oh, it's another fucking eagle, right? It's an eagle. Of course it's an eagle. What else would it be than a fucking eagle? Again, it's always eagles. It's always birds of prey. It's always raptors of some fucking kind. That's different. I like that. That's cool. Vultures are weird, and they're very specific, and they have a lot of personality to them. And that little headbutt, that's adorable. Does the vulture change with different skins? No, that seems to be the same. Even the colors. Okay, that's fair. Okay, let's look at her character design. Yeah, like, if the idea here is explorer, right? Like, this is someone who goes out, travels around, finds places, is, like, always out on the road. Again, and this is not just a thing with Highguard. This is a thing with video games in general that annoys me, is characters are always so fucking clean. No one is ever dirty. No one's clothes are ever fucked up. Like, no one ever has damage to anything. There's never really battle damage to characters who live their entire lives doing battle. There's never really tearing or fraying or broken clothes or like patchworks or shit that looks old and worn, like someone has been living in it for the past 20 years or whatever. Like, never happens anywhere. Video games have all become desperately terrified of mess, desperately terrified of damage, desperately terrified of wear and tear. Everything has to look so fucking clean and new all the time, and I hate it. It's stupid. It's stupid. Because it forecloses on so many opportunities to tell a story about what kind of life a character leads, what kind of shit they do on the daily with the things that they get up to, in favor of what? What's the benefit to making everything so fucking clean all the time? What's the benefit? What's the advantage? What's the thing that you get out of that? Like, I've heard some people say, and I can't verify this, that Asian markets specifically have a negative cultural bias against mess, against slovenliness, against things looking slobby, against things looking like dirty or damaged or like whatever. People say that to me. I can't verify if that's true, but even if it is true, maybe that's something that should be challenged. I don't know. Because this is such a basic part of character design, is a character lives a life, and that life has an impact on them, right? That life changes what they look like because that, like, if you live your entire life as a fucking blacksmith working in a forge 24/7 versus if you are a poet who sits in your room all day writing poetry, those, like, it doesn't, like, whatever your body type, however much food you eat, like whatever happens, the way you live your life, the way you use your body on a daily basis is going to change how your body looks, right? Being inside, sitting down all the time, you're going to be pale. Being in a fucking forge all the time, you're going to be sweaty. And if you're swinging a hammer around all the time, you're going to be at least muscular, right? Like, and you're going to burn yourself. You're going to singe off your eyebrows. You're going to fucking, like, shit is going to happen. You're going to have a burn scar on your arm from a time when something slipped or a thing shattered or, like, right? That's one of the very basic ways that you tell the story of who a character is how has their life changed the way that their body looks, right? A carpenter's hands do not look the same as a pianist's, right? They just don't, because they use them differently. And video games just never, ever seem to want to take advantage of this, ever, under any circumstances, and it's so frustrating. Because there's storytelling you could do. You could tell us what her life is like, how she lives, what she prioritizes, right? Maybe she's really, really conscientious about fixing her pants because she's out walking and running and going around all the time. She doesn't want, like, she's walking through plants and shit, and she doesn't want to get burned by some unfamiliar poison ivy shit or whatever. But maybe she doesn't care that much about her shirts or whatever. Because, like, she probably, like, maybe she doesn't care about her gloves, but she takes good care of her shoes. There's opportunities there to tell us something about who a character is, what their personality is, and it's missing. Not the game's fault. It's a general pattern in the games industry that annoys the fuck out of me. But here, it's a storytelling problem because this is an explorer. This is someone who's on the road all the time, who's out climbing mountains and running across plains and exploring forests or doing fucking, like, flying with her fucking bird or whatever, and none of it is in evidence in the state of her clothes. Having said that, I do like the rest of the design as an explorer character design. Like, here, the pants kind of start to make sense to me. Like, these heavy-duty sort of industrial pants is like, oh yeah, no, you would want to wear that if you're going out exploring, especially in a not very necessarily very warm environment, or in an environment where if you slip or you brush up against a rock, you don't want to have a fucking cut down the side of your thighs or whatever. It's thick, it's protective, it's heavy. She's wearing these knee protectors. Again, that makes more sense for someone who's always out in an environment where, like, you don't want to fall and break your leg or whatever, or damage your knee. So there's protection that's necessary for that. Like, that kind of makes sense to me. The boots kind of make sense to me on that sense as well. Like there's a little... It's not quite like, you know how snowshoes, you'll have these spikes on them, so you can walk on ice and you kind of have traction. It kind of looks like that to me. I kind of like that. The fact that it's lined with feathers is a good choice. Like, that connects her to her bird. She has this bird thing that's going on with her. There's lots of feather imagery and motif here. That's good. That connects those two things together quite nicely. So yeah, generally the costume design here does feel quite appropriate for her. Like, if I see a character like this, I kind of go, okay, that could be an explorer, right? It could be a number of things, but it looks a little ranger-like. It looks a little bit like out and about doing stuff. And then this big cloak thing that she's got is bird wings, right? Again, reinforcing the connect... That's a slightly awkward bit of clipping there, but reinforcing the connection to a bird, right? Like, reinforcing the connection to that. Now, a thing I feel they could have done... You know how one of the big identifying factors of a vulture is, like, the big collar around their neck, or, like, the naked thing? They could have maybe, like... Because I think that's part of the point of this thing, is that it's supposed to mimic the collar around the vulture's neck. They could have gone a little harder on that. They could have made this a little fluffier, a little puffier, a little bigger. In part so that it looks warmer, so that it looks more protective against the wind and the rain and the cold and all that shit. And in part so to really, really, really drive home the connection with her vulture. Like, to really sort of have the bird and the owner mimic each other a little bit more. I will say, I don't really... I mean, this is where, like, I don't really know that much about hair management as such. It does feel like the hairstyle is not necessarily the most practical way to arrange your hair for an explorer. This feels more decorative, which is not a problem necessarily, but again, it feels like if this is an explorer, someone who's out and about all the time, who's, like, very practical about, I need my hair out of the way, and I need it to not get caught on anything, maybe a character like that would have short hair, or maybe that character like that, like, maybe there's a more practical way to sort of tie it up and keep it controlled. I don't know. But something about this feels more decorative than it feels practical-minded. Which maybe there was a chance there to do something that would reinforce the sort of outdoorsy nature of the character more. Nice texture on it, though. Yeah, that looks really nice. I don't know. That's an idle thought, not really a strong criticism. Yeah, like, if this was just a bit more damaged, if this was just a bit more patched up, right? Like, she's out on a fucking scouting expedition in the middle of nowhere or whatever, and, like, she has to go through a thicket full of, like, branches with thorns on them, and it's kind of tears a hole in her clothes, and she has to patch it up. She has to, like, sew it up or, like, put a patch on it, like, do a field repair. Shit like that would have really reinforced this. But as it stands, this is a pretty effective character design. Like, yeah, I absolutely buy that this is a scout or a wilderness explorer. The one thing I'd say, give her a backpack or a pouch, or, like, she's something that she's got on her that she's carrying that indicates, like, supplies, or, like, because she has the pouches, right? The pouches are working a little bit towards that effect, but a backpack or, like, a satchel or something hanging off her hip or something like, oh, this is where she carries all her gear and shit, that would probably have completed it. Outside of that, pretty solid character design. all around. I like it. Okay, so this is more sci-fi Tatooine vibes. It has a bit of a Star Wars vibe, a little bit to it. Like, it is a little bit like this would have been... This could be a Star Wars expanded universe character at the Battle of Hoth. Very much so. And, like, yeah, that, like, here we have the fucking fur collar that I was talking about to connect her with her bird. It's right there. Yeah, I don't think I have a lot to say about this. This just kind of seems like it works. Kind of obviously on the merits of itself. Sunwing. Okay, so that's a gala outfit for someone who's attending... Receiving a commendation for outstanding achievements in exploration. Okay, so this is like a version of this, but it's done up fancy for a party, like formal wear. It's a dress uniform, basically. Okay, I buy that. And for that, like, I wish I could zoom in close, but if I don't own the skin, they're just gonna take it off her the moment I exit the menu. And for that, like, the decorative hairstyle here works for that. Like, works perfectly for that. And this, yeah, maybe there's a little too much gold on, like, maybe it's a little gaudy in that sense, but as for a dress uniform for a big fancy function where you're receiving a commendation from the Explorers Guild or fucking whatever, yeah, that's perfect. And the hair, like, I think is also kind of perfect for that as well, being so decorative and so fancy with, like, the jewels, like the jewelry and the tiara, whatever the fuck that is. That works. I might have, like, I don't know that she needed knee pads then, necessarily, like, or they should maybe be slightly fancier than they are. But that, I buy that. I buy that as a concept. Okay. Not a super strong concept here, just that she's blind, essentially. A slightly alternate universe version of her where she's blind instead, and she's from a different culture, I guess. Okay, sure. There's a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn to this with the bright colors. There's nothing about this that doesn't work. It just, I don't know that it communicates a particularly strong character to me. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Let's see, who's left? There's this guy and this lady. Oh, wait, we need to see her intro. Oh, that's cute. She's mimicking... With her arms, she's mimicking the shape of the bird's wings that's flying. That's kind of adorable. That's playful. I like that. That's cute. Okay, if I stay here on this... Is the bird just gonna fly away completely? Is it just gonna be, like, gone? When does it disappear? I'm curious now. Hey, lady, I think your bird is... I don't think it can hear you anymore if you whistle for it. Yeah, no, it's gone now. Sorry, lady, it fucked off. It just left. The bird just fucking left. It's like, I don't care how loud you can whistle. That bird is not coming back anymore. That bird just went fuck off. Oh, that's funny. That's cute. That's a cute, playful bit of animation to her. I think that could... If she's supposed to be such a playful character... Right, she's supposed to be a little goofy, right? A little bit over-eager. And she's, like, mimicking the bird, and she's, like... balancing on one leg for fun. Walking along this thing. If she's supposed to be playful like that... I feel like that could be reflected in her idle animation as well. Because this is very calm and confident, very chill, like very, yes, I'm surveying the land. I understand all that I see. I'm an explorer. You could do more with a more playful animation set for her then. Like a more playful idle animation. Something a little more fidgety. Something a little bit more, ooh, what's that over there? Distractible, maybe? Like, there's things you could do with an idle animation that communicates that part of her better. But, oh well. Let's see. Hot evil lady. Okay, so this lady looks a lot like that one lady from Concord. Kind of the same hairstyle, kind of a similar face, kind of a similar color scheme, kind of a similar thing with the big sleeves on the outfit. I don't know, presumably that's accidental. But yeah, no, this does remind me somewhat of that one lady from Concord. Okay, so what do we have here for you? You are a mysterious conjurer who absorbs and repurposes the souls of the fallen to shield and support her allies. So she can... Basically, when people go down, she can use... Okay, interesting. So it's a necromancer kind of situation. I mean, you look at this and you immediately go, okay, evil lady? Like, there's not really any ambiguity about that with the black and red color scheme with that glowing purple jewel on her chest with like the dark hair and like this thing that goes like this huge collar that goes up in the back there. It's like, no, yeah, evil, obviously evil, or at least sinister, right? I don't know that I would get necromancer from it necessarily. I don't know that I would get manipulates the souls of the dead. I'm not really getting that mystical thing as such. Like, she doesn't look like she's powered by death, right? Like, she looks like more like I mean, in part, this kind of looks like a flight suit, right? This whole, like, the tight suit done up with the long boots and kind of looks not quite like leather, but like with the tightness around. It looks like a flight suit more than anything to me. It looks like she belonged, like, outside of the long loose sleeves that look like a real liability. If you took those away, it would kind of look like a mech pilot suit, right? More than anything else, especially with this backpack thing that kind of looks like a power jetpack, like mini jetpack kind of. Well, she's got junk in that trunk. It would kind of look like a mini jetpack kind of vibe. It looks more techy than magic-y to me. I can see the idea here is to mix and match, like the long, loose sleeves here are really the thing that's supposed to bring in the magic angle to her, right? Like, because that's classic fucking sorcerer sleeves right there, right? That's classic fucking magician, high vizier kind of vibe thing with the big sleeves. It's just nothing else on her outfit has that vibe, has that big, loose, flowing robe magician thing vibe, so they kind of sit alone as a slightly incoherent part of the rest of the outfit. Like, why would someone put sleeves like this on an otherwise very constrained sort of battle flight suit like this? It's sort of, okay, why is that? Is that just an aesthetic affectation? Okay, I guess. I can see the ideas at work here. I think the ideas are interesting. I don't know that they're executed in a way that's visually clear. I'd say she looks like an evil magician. Like, I could absolutely, if someone said that's an evil magician, I go, okay, yeah, absolutely. I can buy that. The big crystal on her chest with, like, the gold filigree around it, like thing is, like, that says magic to me. That's not tech. That's magic right there, right? The big sleeves kind of help to do part of the job of making it a little bit more mystical and woo. So it's like, it's not tech. It definitely doesn't just look tech. It's just, I just don't quite resolve any of this into conjurer who uses the souls of the dead, right? I don't get that sense of spirit conjuration. I don't get that sense of like manipulating life after they have passed through the veil to the other side. I don't quite get that. Right? It feels more like she should be throwing lightning bolts and fireballs, right? Energy beams, maybe. Like, I don't know that I get Death Conjurer that much from it. And, like, part of it could be if you just change the color scheme to, like, a sickly sort of Lord of the Rings, Kirith Ungol green sort of situation, that would probably help a lot on that front just by swapping the color scheme to something green or purple, or more purple. The red, again, is like passion, it's like love, it's anger, it's hate, it's blood. It's like, that's sort of the associations that red has as a color scheme. It doesn't really have the association of raising the dead, right? Like, if she had like a pure, she does have a white thing. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. If it was like pure white and black, then you would have that sense of like, okay, life and death, sort of manipulating the boundary between these two realms. I don't know that the red is a good color scheme choice here. Yeah, this feels more sci-fi than anything. In like almost all of the outfit, especially this thing, feels more sci-fi than fantasy. So I see the idea at play here, but I wouldn't, like, at a glance, I just would never guess necromancer. I would never guess manipulator of the souls of the dead. I would never go there. So that part of her visual storytelling is not really doing the job. The other thing is, so like the flight suit thing here, you have all these straps, right? That like here, you can see how they, on her ass, they kind of do the job of outlining the volume of her body, right? Like, of sort of like, okay, these are like things that trace the curves on the outside of her. And straps like that sort of evoke the idea of corsetry straps, or like something that's supposed to tighten shit down, be a constraint, like hold a character in place kind of vibes. And there is definitely some of that going on there with like stuff that looks like straps around her chest and like things that look constraining. Same thing over the sleeves, right? A little bit like this skin-tight leather suit thing, whatever she's wearing underneath. So there's an element there of constraint, right? And that element of like constraint, or like tightening around her body, is then contrasted with the openness and the flowiness and the freedom of the sleeves. But is that supposed to do anything? Like, is that supposed to be a theme of her character? Is this tension between a desire for freedom and like feeling constrained in her role? Like, is that supposed to do any storytelling, or is it just there because it looks? Like, is it just rule of cool? Because one thing I will say, she looks striking. Like, she looks. I can see some lesbians having a complicated crisis looking at this lady, right? Like, that woman walks into the room and all of a sudden they all feel an itch, like they want to get stepped on at the back of their neck, right? Like, I can see that as a sort of power fantasy, dommy mommy, dark, like hurt me a lot, evil mom kind of appeal. But is that then why these straps and all of that is sort of vaguely, in a tiny way, gesturing a little bit towards BDSM themes? Submission, domination, restriction, restraint, like with the leather and all of that? Like, okay. Although, again, if that's what it's doing, I think, again, there are ways to go harder on that and really lean into that vibe. To play with it more explicitly. Like, you could do more with her boots, for example, if that's what you were trying to do. You could give her higher heels. You could give her, like, you could really make those boots fucking shine to, like, draw the attention to this thing of, like, step on me kind of vibe, right? So I don't know that it's supposed to be horny necessarily. Yeah. Not sure. It's this, the conflict here is that I think this suit is pretty fucking cool, actually. I think it's pretty cool to have the flight suit into the sort of, like, almost sort of 80s anime villain, the fantasy villain thing with the big shoulder pieces, and then the big open sorcerer sleeves. Like, that's cool. That's all shit that would look very cool on paper. I don't feel what it adds up to in terms of storytelling is the main thing. So it's one of those things, like, a design that is in itself cool, but which I don't really know how to read. This one, though, this feels a little Bloodborne. Just in the sense of, like, you know, in Bloodborne, Queen Yarnum has this thing of, like, being in a pure white wedding dress, and then there's blood right over her womb kind of thing. Like, this is, like, pure white queen outfit kind of situation, but then she has these hands that are just absolutely fucking soaked in blood. And that's one of the ways in which, like, oh, hey, if you make something dirty in a specific way, all of a sudden it tells a story, right? All of a sudden, like, you look at this and you go, oh, okay, That's a lady who fucking, like, she looks regal, she looks queenly, she has, like, the crown thing, she has, like, the veil over her eyes to make her a little mysterious, and she's been fucking killing people so much that her hands and sleeves are stained with blood. Okay, a story is there. Some shit happened to this lady. This lady's been up to some stuff, right? She has blood on her hands, quite literally. Something is here, right? Like, some shit is happening there. And that's compelling. Like, that's interesting. That's effective. Like, very Lady Macbeth, right? Like, very effective horror imagery to a certain extent, or, like, something scary and, like, kind of gothic about it. So I like that. Like, the outfit itself, maybe a little bit too much whimsy in this gold filigree. I feel like the gold filigree is a little whimsical in its shape design. It could stand to be more stark and sharp and, like, aggressive. Especially to contrast the relative softness of the bloodstains, right? Like, the bloodstains are this gradient that spreads out from her hands, up her sleeves, and that's a soft thing. So if the whole rest of the design was very, very sharp, very, very rigid, and then this is the only, like, soft thing on her, that would, like, as a visual contrast thing, that would emphasize the storytelling there, I think. Not a massive criticism, but yeah, again, if she's supposed to be like a classic sort of fantasy regal queen thing, it does feel like a sort of crinoline dress, maybe? Like, maybe not a full crinoline dress, but at least a half thing, like maybe a half thing's like running, something a little bit more like a regal queen's dress thing might have worked here. You could even expose some thigh. Well, no, maybe actually having her completely covered up might be more effective for this character design, but like a sort of half crinoline dress around like the sides here or something to like give her a little bit more of that regal, like classic fantasy queen figure thing could maybe be good here. Other than that, though, striking. Like the red in the veil and on the hands alone, contrasted against that pure white, is pretty effective. Aha. This feels rule of cool. I don't know that there's much character or storytelling to read here. This just kind of feels like, what if she showed some more skin and different outfit with some gold and some gold on it and some gold and some gold and some purple tattoos to contrast against the gold, which is like, that's effective enough, I guess. Boring pants, but pretty cool cage on her hair. Yeah, I think this is just entirely rule of cool. This is just kind of supposed to look striking, and I guess it does. Oh, when I looked at the thumbnail, I thought it was like hair, but no, it's horns. Okay, we're cribbing a little bit from Diablo 4 here. Hello, Lilith. Not entirely, of course, but a little bit. And again, this feels uncommitted to me. Because, like, she's supposed to be the devil, essentially. She's supposed to be, like, a queen of hell kind of character, right? And that's definitely there in, like this corset-looking situation around there. It's definitely there in her horns, which look pretty fucking good on her, actually. It's definitely there in the shoulder piece. It's definitely there in the hands and, like, the hip armor and things like that. But then she's just kind of wearing a boiler suit. Like, this feels like it should have a little bit more fashion to it, shouldn't it? Like, this feels like it should have a little bit... Like, again, thinking of Diablo 4 and Lilith. Lilith was wearing something that looked like a fucking evening gown from hell, right? This boiler suit-ass thing looks... That looks way too pedestrian. That looks too much like someone who does manual labor would wear that. Like, that's boring. That's too boring. Like, that needs to be zhuzhed up. That needs to have some fucking cunt to it. That's too boring. That's too, like, and I, like, she doesn't have to be sexualized necessarily. It doesn't have to be sexy, but it does have to be fashionable. Like, no, I don't think this works. I don't think this works at all. Parts of this, like, all of the evil devil queen shit works, but then she's wearing a fucking boiler suit, man. You put the queen of hell in a boiler suit. That doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. What the fuck? Those shoes are horrible as well. What the, again? Give her demon legs then. Like give her fucking dragon feet or something. Like make her demonic in some way. Like she's got the fucking like demon hands. Why not give her like no, the outfit here is atrocious. This is actually kind of horrible. Like everything that isn't the boiler suit. If you just took the boiler suit away, let's make her fucking maybe cover up the breasts, obviously because of censorship rules. But if you just took the boiler suit away and like gave her like a sexy out, like she has to serve some cunt if she's the queen of hell. Because it feels like she's supposed to, right? Like it feels like with the shoulder piece and like the hair, horns, and things like this being so poised and posed and specific, and like with the fucking nails on the hands and shit, that feels like it's supposed to be some shit that serves cunt, right? Some shit that's like sexy and hot and evil, but she's wearing a boiler suit. Why the fuck is she wearing a boiler suit? What's with these things on the legs? What's with the shoes? Why do they look like that? Oh my god. No, that's horrible. Oh no! Oh, I don't like that at all. That's no good. That is no bueno. Okay, emotes. Oh, that's supposed to go with this skin. It looks like it. And here we're definitely doing the dommy mommy kind of evil, step on me, evil queen, like casual cruelty. Kind of again, if she's supposed to be sexy in that way. Oh, she can spawn tentacles out of those sleeves. Again, yeah, if she's supposed to be sexy in that way, they could play that shit up a little bit more and get her out of the fucking boiler suit. Okay, what's your entrance? Yeah, they could definitely play up the BDSM angle more. Like, again, with the suit, the part of the point of it seems to be that it's playing with this aesthetic of constraint, right? This aesthetic of being tied down. They could play that shit up some more. Like, they could tighten that shit around her body a lot more to make it much more explicit, like a bondage suit. And I think that would actually aid the character if she's supposed to be that kind of, like, evil, sexy dommy mommy seductress kind of dark mistress situation. They could tighten that shit on her a lot more. And then that would contrast very strongly with the openness of the sleeves, and then the sleeves spawn tentacles, and then then you kind of have a thing going. Okay, what do we have here? Redmane. He's the Barbarian guy, clearly. What's your intro like? Yep, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yep, you're the guy who shouts at things. Okay. I would like you to have more battle scars. He's got a few. He's got a little bit. I would like him to be hairier also. Like, he's got hair on his chest, but where the fuck is it on his arms? You can't tell me a man like that wouldn't have had a lot of hair on his back. I'd like him to be a bit hairier. I'd like him to have more battle scars. That's my immediate feedback. Is like, he needs some facial scars. He needs some shit like a split lip, half an eyebrow gone, kind of like, because he's got a little bit of it there, right? And he needs battle damage to his fucking clothes. I'm not going to harp on about it forever. Like, I've said it a million times already. But also, this guy, out of all of them, so very much needs battle damage to his clothes. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because, like, there's a bit of it. Like, he alone seems to have a bit of it, like, actually explicit damage, wear and tear. Here, on his chest guard, right? But then it's not really doesn't really seem to be present on his arm guards. It doesn't really seem to be. Oh yeah, it's there. It's on his shoulders as well. Cool. So it's present in a few spaces on this guy. But then there's nothing... Oh, no, wait, there is. Oh, there's battle damage. Hooray! Battle damage. Holy shit, he's got it. Not enough. Like, it could do with some more, but it's there. Amazing. It actually looks like some of these clothes have been in a fight once. That's fantastic. That's a low bar. That's a low fucking bar. But he cleared it. Oh, Redmane. Good job, man. You cleared the lowest bar I can think of when it comes to a character who's supposed to look like he lives a rough life and fights a lot. There's actual damage on his clothes. Look, there's like stuff where it's been torn and it's a little bit threadbare, or the color has been scratched off and shit like that. Fantastic. More of that, please. He needs way more of it. Like, it's not enough, to be clear, but it's there. Holy shit. Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. Good job. Thumbs up to you. You're doing better than a lot of games I look at these days. Okay. Outside of that, what have we got going on here? Well, he's a barbarian, right? Like, he's the barbarian type. Again, sort of in Diablo terms. He's the classic fantasy barbarian, big, strong, tough guy, what punches and yells at things. And he's like, "Roar, I am man, and I punch my chest and roar." Right, so there's that aspect to him, for sure. And yeah, like, I guess that's with the big red mane on him. Hence the name Redmane, I suppose. The big fucking fur collar and the aggressive headgear that's sort of shaped like a predator's mouth a little bit, with, like, tusks or... I guess fangs, maybe, possibly. Sure, that works. That works well enough. I love that there's battle damage on his outfit. I love that it's actually like, oh shit, like this guy has been in some scraps and shit. That's cool. I'm missing a little bit more, like the big red mane, right? And the way that he's introduced when he jumps into the scene. Right, he does a big roar, and then he's like, ha ha ha! It feels like he should be a little more flamboyant, right? It feels like he should be a little more wrestler, right? A little bit more wrestling heel, a little bit more, like, maybe some more bright colors or something, or more trophies from his fights. Like, he's won a bunch of battles, and he's taken down a bunch of bad guys. He's got, like, some skull trophies, or, like the thing we saw in that skin for, the summoner lady. Like, some teeth from some animals that he's beaten down, or some shit. Like, it feels like there should be a little bit more, like, show-offiness to this guy. A little bit more, look at me, how cool I am, I'm big and strong and powerful, want to wrestle? Like, feels like a little bit more wrestling energy. Should be a little bit more, like, flamboyancy, a little bit more out-there-ness. Like, there could be a little bit more of that. Outside of that, fairly effective character design. Yeah, like, the claws on his shoes are kind of justified by the fact that he climbs shit, right? So they're kind of like climbing shoes, and like they're effective. Like, if you want to fucking kick someone in the groin with those things, I'm sure it hurts a lot. Lots of layering, like, going on here, which makes sense in terms of, like, offering him some protection, but he still has the bare arms, like, ready for the gun show. Oh shit, armpit hair. I think. Does he have armpit hair? Here's a challenge for you, by the way. Yeah, he does, actually. Name video game characters who have actual armpit hair, and ultra extra mega hard mode, name a female character who has armpit hair. Speaking of which, you are forest hermit who lives in the woods and summons little weird gremlins. And you shave your armpits, I guess. Really? You shave your armpits, do you, lady? That's something you spend your time doing while living out there in the wildwood amongst, like... You see what I mean? It's a very weird thing that we have about armpit hair. that women are just... They have clean-shaven armpits. Doesn't matter who they are, how they live, where they go. Women, always the armpits are shaved because of if not shave armpit hair, then lesbian or feminist, probably, right? Because we have these weird fucking body shaming, bizarre, I don't know what the fuck, why hang-ups about women's bodies in that way, where it's like, and it's kind of the same thing with dudes. Like, there's a lot of fucking dudes where, like, yeah, I see a lot of character designs where, like, the dude's like, yeah, I have a big, huge beard, and I'm a wild man, and also, I don't have any body hair below my collar, like, below my collarbone. Not a single one, no chest hair, no armpit hair, no leg hair, no hair on the arms, absolutely fuck all. Like, there's a lot of character designs that are like that, where it's like, yeah, I'm wild, I have beard, I'm the... But then, from the collarbone down, they are manscaped to fuck. It's a weird thing. And it's even here with him, like, how the fuck does this man not have hairy thighs? How does that man not have hairy thighs? How is that possible? How is that remotely plausible as a thing? Like, does he shave? Is that what we're saying when this man somehow has clean-shaven thighs? Like, he has some chest hair, at least, but, like, where's the, like... You've seen a hairy man before, right? Like, where's the back hair? Where's the rest of it? Which is it's not necessarily the game's fault, it's just following convention in that sense, but, like, bodies have hair. It's like a normal thing. It doesn't have a moral quality. It doesn't have a moral, like, if a woman doesn't shave her body hair, that doesn't mean anything. It just means that her body has the normal amount of hair that bodies have. And why is this man manscaping? It's not that he couldn't, right? Man, if the guy is someone who takes very specific care of his looks, right? If he's someone who cares very deeply about, like, maintaining a very specific kind of masculinity, and he doesn't want to be, like, rough and tumble or whatever, that's an interesting part of his characterization, right? But the thing is, I don't believe that that's what's being done here. I don't believe it. I don't believe that they are doing a specific thing of, like, oh, no. This is a part of his personality. This man, he likes his beard, but he manscapes everything from the collar down, right? So it's one of those things of, like, why is his beard line that clean then? Why doesn't he have any neck beard whatsoever, right? Like, why doesn't he have any hair growing down? Like, what? Why is it so fucking? Why is the line across his face so clean and so well kept? I guess because he manscapes. But how? Why would he do that? Like, why is that a thing that he cares about? And that can be a thing. Like, Vikings, for example, famously, like, this is something that like, we have records of an English priest, like, preaching is like, oh, these vile Vikings from across the sea, they are making themselves too acceptable to our English women by doing disgusting things like bathing and braiding their hair, right? Like, where like these, like, on the one hand, they were stereotyped as, like, barbarians from across the sea. On the other hand, they were also way too obsessed with cleanliness and hygiene and cleaning themselves and, like, taking care of their appearance, right? That can absolutely be a thing. You can match those two things together, but then there needs to be other parts of the character's storytelling that sort of supports it, right? Again, if he was more flamboyant, for example, like, if he had a colorful costume that's, like, very fancy and clearly was designed for looks, right? Where it's like, you look at him and you go, okay, this guy is like someone who wants a very specific, he wants a costume, he wants to have a very specific look, he wants people to be able to recognize, oh yeah, it's that fucking guy. He has it a little bit with the Redmane, right? Like, the Redmane is a very identifiable wrestler kind of thing. If the rest of the costume was more visibly costume-ish, then you could go and say, oh, okay, so it makes sense that that guy would also carefully maintain his body hair to maintain a certain appearance, a certain character design for himself, because that's his wrestling persona, essentially, right? But again, that doesn't seem to be what they're doing here. And so it's a little bit of that thing of, like, this man should be a lot hairier. He should be, like, a lot hairier. Like not a little bit. He should be, like, a lot hairier, and it's weird that he isn't. The only reason why he isn't is because we're so used to not seeing body hair on video game characters that it's just normal. We don't notice that inconsistency that, like, hang on, a dude with that body type and that kind of facial hair and chest hair, like, he has chest hair, but he doesn't have arm hair. He doesn't have thighs hair. He doesn't have back hair. He doesn't have ass hair by the looks of it either. Huh? That doesn't actually make any fucking sense. That's weird. Why is he like that? And the only answer is because that's standard, right? Not because someone had an interesting idea or tried to design an interesting character around that idea, but just because that's standard. That's what we're used to, so that's the way that he looks because we're used to seeing it. And I'm annoyed by it. I'm tired of it. I hate it when people just default to the standard without interrogating what it is or why it exists, or playing with it, or doing something interesting with it. Like I said, if he was more of a wrestling heel, if he was more like a flamboyant, like I'm wearing a costume, I look a special way because I want fucking people to remember me, then you can do something interesting with it. But they're not doing that either. So it's like, yeah, there. Outside of that, the character design is fine. I went off on a whole thing there. Oh god, this video is 2 hours long already. Jesus fucking Christ. Outside of that, this design is fine. This is perfectly competent, functional, workable design. I might have given him some bigger gloves, again, to emphasize the punching, arms straight, like sort of in the same way as with Slade, Magma Guy, to emphasize his hands. It's like, I tear things apart with my fist, raw, I'm punching. Maybe some more powerful gauntlets to sort of emphasize the hands, but outside of that, fine. Let's see, emotes. Hype beast. Oh, yes, indeed. There's that wrestling attitude, right? And that's supposed to go with pit fighters, which is that one. Yeah, and like you can see exactly what I was talking about with this skin, actually. This is a costume, right? This is fucking bright. Like, it's not as flamboyant as maybe it could be, but this is like this is a costume, right? He's got the fucking lion head thing on the thing. He's got gold all over everything. It's reflective, it's shiny, it's bright, it stands out. This is way more like a guy, like this is more a guy who I could believe is someone who would like shave his body hair to maintain a certain image, right? Because gladiators historically did that. Like historically, gladiators in the Roman gladiatorial arenas, they would maintain, like they were much closer to modern day wrestlers than we often like to think, because they would maintain their look, they would maintain an aesthetic, a brand essentially for themselves quite carefully. So like for this character, I could sort of more believe and buy the idea that this is someone who would manscape quite obsessively to maintain a certain image. Could still be more flamboyant. Like I think this could still be a little more out there. Like give him some fucking big ostrich feathers on his back or some shit. Like I know that alters the silhouette and you can't do that for gameplay design reasons, but like you could go harder with some colors and shit, like some bright reds, bright blood red instead of this dour green kind of thing. You could do more with it. Anyway. Yeah, this fucking generic ass emote. This is too timid. This man, when this man waves, it should be more like, hey! Like, he should be swinging his arms and opening his whole chest. He shouldn't be doing like, oh, hi, hello. That's too timid. Give him a better wave emote. Okay, so that goes with this one. Yeah, this is boring. This is some fucking modern military crisis suit. This is from the more boring version of this video game. This it's like I don't like modern military aesthetics. I just don't. I think they're boring. I think they're tedious. Crisis suits at least had that interesting muscle fiber thing going on. You can kind of see them doing that here with his arms, but yeah, no, it's like if you like this kind of thing, I guess you'll find this fun, but no, absolutely not for me. Here we just doing straight up fucking fantasy barbarian, like we're fully leaning into it, Conan style. Again, where is this man's fucking body hair? Again, this man needs more battle scars. He has got a few. Like, I think he's got a... Well, no, actually, maybe he's got the right amount of battle scars. They could be a little more gruesome. Like, they could be a little bit more like, oh shit, someone actually took a chunk out of him kind of vibe, but he's got like an appropriate number of battle scars. That's probably an okay amount. They could just be more visible and obvious and more gruesome. Like a little bit more like, holy shit, this man has like taken some real pain and he's still going kind of vibe. But outside of that, like just a very basic, standard, normal, this is a fantasy skin. And yeah, I guess that what it is. It's funny how every single fucking skin is legendary. Is there a tier below legendary anywhere? Does anyone have anything other than a legendary skin? I guess for the launch, they only want the highest quality cosmetics, I guess. Then we have these Warcraft orc, kind of, but with sort of a Mesoamerican... Yeah, a Warcraft orc, essentially, but then they've combined that with a sort of Mesoamerican design aesthetic on his armor pieces and outfit. I like the white and green. That's actually an interesting contrast. Like, as a color scheme, that's pretty striking. And yeah, well, I mean, that does differentiate him from a Warcraft orc. It does. Because they in Warcraft, at least back when I played, like, I have not played World of Warcraft in many, many years. Well, I've not played World of Warcraft, period. I've never really played it. But when I played Warcraft 3, they reserved the sort of Mesoamerican, indigenous American aesthetic for the trolls. Which, you know, the whole old kettle of beans there. But I don't think they ever combined it with the orcs. So this is, like, unique and interesting. This is, like, an aesthetic combination I've not seen before. Shit, that would be cool. Like, a fucking, like, orcs, but they are Mesoamerican, like Incan or... What's the name? What's the correct name? Nahuatl? Or is that the language? I don't remember. Aztec. Like, shit like that's a cool combination. Novel. I don't yeah, outside of that, it's just kind of not much. It's just a dude in fantasy armor, but it's a novel combination at least. And then we have Captain Gladiator here. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Oh, mounts. Also, there's mounts. So horse. The horse looks like a horse. That's a horse. I do like the hairy legs that they have, like sort of the Clydesdale. Oh, is that a Clydesdale? Horses that have the thing with the fur covering that goes down their legs, kind of thing. I like that. That's kind of fantasy-esque and like a little bit special. Then you can ride a Oh, the fucking mounts have skins. Okay, hang on. Horse skins. Yeah, no, yeah, that makes sense. That's the Redmane skin for that specific skin. And then for that one. And then for Paladin guy. And then the Red Dragon. With, oh, what a padded saddle for a dainty little baby man. No. Okay, I guess there's they are monetizing the shit out of this. Of course, all the skins are legendary. I don't think I want to go through every single skin in detail here. That one is fucking badass. I love snow leopards so much. Snow leopards are so fucking cool. If I ever played this game, and I don't think I will, this would absolutely... I would buy that mount skin. Snow leopards rule. Snow leopards are so cool. This is kind of He-Man, right? This is kind of Battle Cat from He-Man. Oh, the mounts have emotes. Aww. Wait, so if I pick another hero, they'll be the one doing the emote with the mounts? Oh, yeah. So that one and him. Oh, that's cute. What's the horse emote? Oh, a bow. That's cute. Yeah, dramatic horse rear. Whoa. Okay, not that much variety in the bears. Just mostly wearing different stuff. Roar! Swinging an axe around. And then the griffin. Exotic skins. Oh, these are... I guess legendary skins are a tier below exotic. Okay. not really that much variety in the Griffin skins, are there? Mostly just colorways. Banners, don't care about banners. Weapons. Oh, there's weapon skins. Of course there are. Of course there's weapon skins. Oh my good god. Yeah, I don't care about the guns because it's fucking guns. It's a fucking assault rifle. Why is there an assault rifle? Come up with literally any more interesting gun than this. Literally any. Any gun. Any gun that's more interesting than this. Why is there an assault rifle? Why is there always a fucking assault rifle? Why is it always a fucking AR-15 assault rifle fucking shoulder bullpup fucking modern military shooter Call of Duty ass? But get rid of them. There's been enough. We've had enough assault rifles. No one needs more assault rifles. There's never been a need at any point in history less for more assault rifles in video games than there are right now. Come up with any different gun. Literally any gun for this specific gameplay purpose that's not a fucking assault rifle. I am so sick of them. That's my personal bias. Anyway, I think that's it. I think that's Highguard. What's the head wall? Okay, that's some progression bullshit. That's Highguard. It's okay. It's not a Concord. At least, I mean, again, I have not played it. I don't know anything about the gameplay. But in terms of the character design, this is not a Concord. These characters do have personality occasionally. There's some ciphers. Like, these two characters, I think, genuinely kind of are misses. This lady has no personality that I can discern whatsoever. And it doesn't seem to be on... She's not supposed to be boring in that way. And this lady is sort of stuck between two worlds in a way that just doesn't come together at all. But Slade has a fucking personality. He looks like a total douchebag in a sort of Paul Williams from Tekken kind of fun way. Or maybe Johnny Cage? Is that his name? The movie star guy from Mortal Kombat is the guy I'm thinking about. There's some dommy-mommy fun going on here that's more compelling than whatever the fuck it was that Concord had going on. I believe this character as an explorer. It's not a griffin. It's not a condor. It's a vulture. The vulture animal companion is a fun twist on this kind of character. This is a perfectly serviceable, big, punchy barbarian archetype kind of guy. Could do some work, but at least fucking... He outdoes most of video games by just having fucking battle damage on his shit. This guy's boring as hell, but that's kind of the purpose of him. He's kind of supposed to be, so the other characters can bounce off of him by being more interesting. And Ice Twink here, I really like Ice Twink. Like, he could use something more interesting from the waist down, but Ice Twink is interesting. Like, I like the stillness of his animation. Like, there's clearly some fucking... There's some thoughtful animation work that's gone into putting this guy together. So it's not a Concord. It's not that boring. It's not that bereft of life or creativity or energy or ideas. There is something more interesting going on here. And I wish the people who developed this game all the best. Like, it kind of seems like they are taking a swing at doing something indie, and that's a difficult thing to do, especially in the free-to-play space, especially with the hero shooter space. And if they want to stand out, my advice, for whatever it's worth, which is probably not much, is push things a little harder. Go a little bit more out there. Be a little bit more outrageous. Push things a little bit further. Give this lady a stronger identity, right? Like, same thing here. Like commit to a stronger concept of who this person is. Consider giving her some fucking body hair, because why is the forest hermit shaving her armpits? Or, like... Oh, just give her... Like, she can shave her armpits. It's fine. Just give her a personality to go with it. Be hornier about this. Do some more BDSM shit. Like tighten this shit up a little bit. But there's potential here. There's ideas here. There is life here. There's creativity here. And if they keep going, like, if Highguard can manage to ride the current wave of negative success, right? Like, of 17,000 negative reviews, to some kind of, like, sustainability, like it can draw in enough people who start playing the game that give a shit about and keep playing it, I'll come back and look at the next 5, 6, 7, 8 heroes in this thing, because, like, clearly there are designers here who have ideas, right? And who are able to push on some of the more outrageous concepts that they have and do some character storytelling there. And that's worth looking at occasionally. And I do, like I said, I do feel bad for Highguard. It didn't deserve to be dogpiled the way that it was just because Jeff Keighley had a bad idea for how to close out the Game Awards. And hopefully it's not something that's going to spell the doom of this little game, because this could turn out to be something cool. God, I just hope they don't get acquired by some mega company that shuts it down and kills everything like what happened to Respawn.